Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to part 2 of our Firebase login tutorial. In part 1, we basically just set up our UI right here and configured our project with Firebase. So if you haven't seen that already, go check it out quick and then come back to this. But for now, we're going to hop into our login view controller. And the first thing we're going to do is import this Firebase auth. And I already did it just so I don't forget. I usually forget in these videos, but make sure you import that right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go actually back into our storyboard and click on this view controller, open the assistant editor, click on the login button, control drag and create an action, and we'll just call it login. Then close the assistant editor, go back into login view control.swift. And then inside of here is basically where we're going to check to see if the email and password fields match a corresponding user on our backend. So the first thing we're going to do is say let email equal email text field dot text, and then let password equal password field dot text, and that'll just make it a little easier so we don't have to type these out in a moment. Then we're going to say fireauth dot sign in with email, and should be right here. And then we're going to call email, and then this one's going to be password. And then we're actually going to delete this completion like that. And we want to call instead is user and then error like that, and call in. And then down here we're going to create an if statement. So if error equals no, then we're going to print user.email. And then we want to say let vc2 equals self.storyboard dot instantiate view controller with identifier, and then inside of here we'll say the string is vc2, and then that's as UI navigation controller. And what this vc2 is, so actually we want to make this navigation controller right here. We want to set its storyboard ID to vc2, and we want to do that because if it log in successfully, then it'll push us to here, which actually pushes us to this view controller. So let's go back into our login view controller.swift, and then after we establish the variable, we need to say self.present, and inside of here we need to say vc2 animated is going to be false and completion is no, like that. And then right here we need to also say else, and then we would just say print failure, and then say let alert equal UI alert view. And I know UI alert views are actually not really used anymore, but they're just easier to set up for right now. So title would say something like error messages, please check your email and password. And then delegate is going to be self, and cancel button title is just be okay. And let's see here. We need to add one more closing bracket like that, and then we should be good to go. So that's good. Now the next part we want to do is we actually want to set up our signup view controller, and then once we do that, we should be good to go. So inside of here, we're just going to do basically the same exact thing. We're going to import Firebase auth, and then we actually want to create those outlets again from our text field. So click on the view controller, open the assistant editor, control drag from the email, and say email text field, and then control drag from password and say password text field, and then we might as well just control drag and create our action while, and we'll just say create user. So close the assistant editor, go into signup view controller, And then the first thing we want to do is down in our create user, add a few spaces, but first thing I'm going to establish those variables again. So let email equal email text field dot text. Let password equal password text field dot text. Then we're going to say fire auth dot create user with email, and then we're going to say email and then password, and then we're going to do the same thing again, delete the completion, and open bracket, and then we're going to say user error and then in, like that. Alright, so now we actually want to create an if statement, so we're going to say if error doesn't equal no, then we would just say something like, for now we'll just say print you have an error, then we'll say else, and then else would mean that we're successful. So we would want to say let view controller equals self dot, let vc2 equals self dot storyboard dot instantiate view controller with identifier. The string is vc2 and it's as UI navigation controller. And then we say self dot present vc2 animated is false and completion is no. Now we'll run the app and let's see what's the error. We need to just add one more bracket here. Now let's run it, and we're going to try to create the user. Alright guys, so I actually tried to run it and it wasn't saving my users, and for a second I couldn't figure out why, but the reason was back in our Firebase console, if we click on Authentication, you have to click on sign in method, and by default the status on email/password is disabled. So when you click on it, you just enable it and then click save, and then you should be good to go. So now when we run the app, we'll try to create a new user, and then we'll try to also sign in with that user. So we don't have an account, and we'll say something like test user at gmail.com, and then test user, and click sign up, and there you go, like that. And now when we run it again, we should be able to sign in with those same credentials. Instead of having to create a new account, let's just say test user at gmail.com, password is test user, we click login, and there you go, pushes us that view controller. Alright guys, so I just recorded about half the video, and I didn't even realize that I had the preferences to the white background. So if that bothered you, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go back and redo it because it took me a little bit of time. But I'll have the code in the description, or if you ask for it, I'll send it to you. But you can just take a look at it that way. So there's 3 other things that we want to accomplish. One being logout action. The second being we want to make the title of our view controller our current user. And then thirdly, we want to auto log in if the user's already signed in from a previous session. So let's actually tackle that last one first. So let's go into our login view controller. And if you don't have a view did appear, add a view did appear method. So we're going to say view did appear, and then super dot view did appear, and animated will just say true. And now in here, we're going to need to call a listener, basically to see if the user is still logged in. So to do that, all you have to do is fire auth.auth, and then say .add state change listener, and then our listener is going to be auth, and then user, and then in. Then we need an if statement, so if let user equals user, and then we'll just add a comment for a second. User is signed in, else user is not signed in. So when the user is signed in, we just need to say let viewcontroller2 equal self.storyboard.instantiate viewcontroller with identifier vc2, and then as your navigation controller like every other time that we've done it. And then we just need to present that, so self.present, and then we say vc2 animated true, completion is no. So that'll automatically log our user in if we have a previous login. So now let's actually go into our main viewcontroller.swift, and inside of here we want to import Firebase auth. And then we want to, instead of view to load, we want to say self.title is equal to fireauth.auth.current user.email, like that. So that'll display the current email or the current user in the header. And then we just need an action for logging out. So let's actually go into our main.storyboard, and we'll drag in a bar button item. And we'll just say log out, and then click on that, open the assistant editor, and we'll create an action called log out, or log out, like that, or .swift. Now that we have our login action, we can just say try fireauth dot auth dot sign out, like that. And then we'll just say let viewcontroller equals self dot storyboard dot instantiate viewcontroller with identifier, and this time we're just going to say vc, and then self dot present, and we'll say vc animated is true and completion is no. Now we'll go back into the storyboard, and we just need to set this navigation controller ID to that vc. So now let's run the app and see if everything works. Alright, so as you can see, it automatically logged us back in because it remembered our token from last time. And now up in the title it has our current email. Now if we click log out, it'll push us into our login screen. So now if we say test user at gmail.com, and then password is this test user, and click sign in, here we're good to go. Alright, thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys learned a lot. Until next time, peace.